Good morning, everyone.
Happy Saturday.
Thanks for joining us here on this Coffee with Kim and Jason. This is our fourth one.
Yeah.
And we've gotten some good feedback, so we're still doing them.
Yeah, it's fun. And we got our coffee. This is literally the first sip of the day, which 10 o'clock is way too late for that.
Yeah.
That's the only challenge I have. If I actually drank a cup earlier than 10 o'clock, then I'd be like jittery with you guys. So I don't know. Maybe we need to schedule these earlier.
7 o'clock in the morning next time.
No, not on Saturday. But
hello to Helen. She said she's looking forward to this conversation.
Hi,
Tracy has her hot chocolate. She's ready to go. That's great.
Awesome.
Yeah, we were hot chocolate people exclusively till kid number 3.
Mm-hmm. Kid number 3 broke us. And, we got through college. And now I think, oh man, how did we do that? But kid number 3, it'll do.
Yeah,
it.
some of you have heard me tell the story about being a coffee virgin and how that happened, and it's basically all because of the Penguins Cant Fly book and getting this wild hair that I should actually do something different for a change, and I did, and now we're slaves to caffeine. So today we're glad that you're here. For those of you here live, those of you who are here watching after the fact, we are talking about how to not ruin your next vacation.
Yes.
Seems like a good topic for the summer. A lot of people take vacations in the summer. Some of you may have already taken a vacation, and I hope you didn't ruin it. But we've done a lot of traveling over the years, and so we've learned some things that have worked for us and some lessons we've learned the hard way, and thought it would be worthwhile sharing them with you guys.
Adultitis has a lot of fun when you're trying to relax and escape. And like Jason said, we've learned that the hard way. So there are some proactive ways that you can set yourself up for better times. And, you can't prevent everything. The flat tires and the bugs in your bed at the hotel. These are things that just come up. But if everything else is set up for more success, then I think those things that do come up are less stressful.
Yes.
Right.
So a little housekeeping, you can comment, chat over there on the right-hand side of the screen if you're here live. We also have the opportunity to ask a question. You'll see that link down at the bottom. Looks like we already have some questions that have come in.
Sweet.
So that's cool. And we set up a poll as well. There's also a link at the very bottom for a poll. We're asking, what is your preferred method of vacation travel? Plane, train, automobile, bicycle, boat? I suppose we probably missed an option. Maybe there's Forrest Gump walkers out there. So feel free to weigh in on that. In the meantime, let's talk about tip number 1. Oh, by the way, those of you who are tuning in live, we will be drawing the winners of the Escape Adulthood Summit scholarship.
Yes.
I don't have any better name for it.
2 amazing alumni, 2 separate people came forth and said, I want to buy a ticket for someone who maybe would normally not be able to come for whatever reason, financial, So we are so grateful. This is pretty exciting. So we put our heads together of all right, how do we do this? So we have all the names of the people who signed up, who said, yes, I would like a ticket, or I would like 2 tickets. We have them all ready to go. We'll do that at the end, I assume.
Yep.
Jason's fighting a little cold. So
got a little cold. Bear with me today.
Yes, yeah.
All right. So I think for the first step, and this might sound obvious, but perhaps not, because we kind of had almost learned this the hard way. I see vacations as a spectrum. On one end, you have adventure, and the other hand, you have relaxation. So you know what that means, right? Laying on the beach doing nothing versus, we got to go into New York City is not really going to be a relaxing trip necessarily.
Right.
So it helps if you know which one you want going into the vacation.
So for instance, for our honeymoon, we knew we wanted both.
Yes.
So literally, and this, some people will laugh at this, that this was the first time Jason was ever on a plane. It was on our honeymoon. So now he's almost, hitting the million-mile club. But the concept of what did we want? We wanted some relaxing on a beach. So we went down to Florida and hit the beach for a few days. And then we wanted adventure and fun and all that. So we went to Disney for a few days. So we split it, which worked.
Yeah, it did. And sometimes it sounds like obvious, but sometimes when you're frustrated with how vacation is going, it might be because you never set up in your head or agreed upon with the people you're with of what kind of vacation you were needing at the time. Did you want adventure? Did you want relaxation? So a couple of years ago, we did a we've done a couple epic road trips as a family. We did
Yeah.
one out to the Grand Canyon. We drove out that way, and then we did another one out to Boston, and then we came up through into Canada. And then those were adventure road trips for the most part, because you're just on the move the whole time and you're seeing a lot of stuff. But the next year we went to Mexico, and that almost tripped us up because we'd never been there before. And so we wanted to do a lot of stuff, but at the same time we had just come off, we were all sick over the holidays and we were just worn down and we needed the relaxation. And so I think it was like the first night of the vacation, we actually was like, okay, we gotta.
Well, we didn't realize how close the condo would be to the water. So then when we got there and we're like, oh my gosh, this is like heavenly. This is amazing. You know, you're not sure of the pictures or the scale of things, right? So we were like, we don't want to leave here. We just want to be here. And the kids felt the same. They just wanted to build sandcastles and play in the water. And so that was like, okay, this is the moment. What are we going to do about this?
Yep. And we felt guilty if we just stayed there and didn't explore enough things. So we actually picked a handful of things that we wanted to do. And we did them, and we gave ourselves permission to spend the rest of the time at the beach. And
yeah, we grouped 2 on one day. So that was kind of a big day, and one other one on another day. So most of the days were at that beach.
Yeah. So again, it's on a spectrum. It's a sliding scale. We weren't totally on relaxation, but we were more on that side. So I think being mindful of that helped us to be free for the rest of the week, because we knew what we were expecting. So yeah. All right. It looks like we already have some questions.
Hi, Steve.
Let's see. Okay. This is from Audra. It looks, yeah, I think so. Okay. Let me.
Audria?
Audria.
Yeah.
All right. Let me start answering this. So Audria has asked, my family is taking a road trip across the country. Excuse me. What are some suggested must-see, bizarre, and super fun sites we should add to our list? Helena and Billings, Montana, Rapid City, South Dakota, Sioux City, Des Moines, and Cedar Rapids, Iowa, Madison, Wisconsin, and Chicago. That's a good question.
So one of the things I like to do when we have cities, like landmarks that we're going to, is Travela or TripAdvisor is a wonderful website, and you can look at the top attractions. Now, oftentimes those are the things you actually might want to avoid, okay? But at least you kind of know what all the parameters are. So get an understanding of like, okay, so here's this kind of vibe, here's this kind of vibe, and then there's the website. Did you look it up?
I was just going to post it.
Okay, wonderful.
I'm just posting this in the chat. It's roadsideamerica.com.
Yes.
And it's a great repository of weird stuff. So
the large ketchup bottle that's like a water tower, or the biggest piece of cheese, or we saw the biggest popcorn ball.
Yeah, where was that? That was
Rapids,
Iowa.
or like
it was. Yeah, it was outside Cedar Rapids. So that's on the list.
It was gross.
World's largest popcorn ball. Look that one up. Trying to think where else. I don't know if you'll be going this way, but the Corn Palace. That's
yes.
Is that in Nebraska?
No, that's South Dakota, like near Waldrug.
That's Sioux City, isn't it?
I don't know.
No, it's not by Waldrug.
Well, it's in that.
Look up that. Maybe that'll be on your way.
Yeah.
But okay. So this is the best tip of all, is to take extra time along the way, so that when you see weird road, I mean, that the popcorn ball, we didn't seek that out. We just happened to see a sign for it,
and we're like, oh.
And so we did it. So if you leave breathing room in your travel time, and you're not like, oh, we got to go here and we got to make it at this time, give yourself the opportunity to see some of those weird things by giving space in your schedule.
And someone gave me this, my sister-in-law gave me this great book, Amazing Places to Take Your Kids, Hundreds of North American Adventures. And there's a map and all this kind of stuff, but it's a cool book. Like, it definitely gets your juices flowing of what vibe you want, right? National parks are always going to be a win, so it just depends on how much time you have to stop. And
Helen said that Iowa has the home of John Wayne and a Scandinavian windmill that is fun, and don't miss Reptile Gardens in South Dakota, which we did as well. So it was near Mount Rushmore.
Yes.
Big mountain faces. So
faces,
so
as our kids called it.
Hopefully that is helpful. And if anyone else that is listening live has any tips or ideas for Audria, we'd love to hear them.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add there?
No, I think definitely, I mean, Google is your friend, you know, like use it. And the more time you put in ahead of time, it will pay off to do a little research. So have fun.
Okay. Yeah, we've got someone. So follow-ups. Tracy says the John Wayne's house was neat. Actual bridges of Madison County were cool. And then she says Chicago, the bean, of course, which
most people are like, what's the bean?
Very cool. And what I love about it is that the guy who created it hates that people call it the bean, but he's also kind of a jerk. So I kind of enjoy it. I've heard about it. And he actually created a color black, like a specific color of black, and then made it so that no one else in the world could use that color. So he's kind of
so from artist to artist, I feel that feels a little.
It's like something
stingy.
I don't know what the official name of it. It's like Skygate or something like that.
Copyright, but
no, but he trademarked or patented this color, and so a lot of artists.
So if you don't know what the bean is, it's this art. It's a structure in Chicago near Grant Park. Or in Grant Park, that it looks like a big bean. It's like a mirror. The whole thing is like a mirror.
It's like a silver jelly bean.
Because it's a bean shaped, it's really fun to like play around with your like perspective and your reflection. So it's super fun.
The other thing about Cedar Rapids, I believe, is that the place that they make crunch berries.
Yeah.
Is that right? And we went there, that was just last year, I think. And the whole town smells like crunch berries.
You feel like you're in a cereal bowl.
Pretty amazing.
Yeah. And they own it. There's some cool little
cool shirts
things
and
around.
And,
It's pretty fun.
All right, moving on. If anyone else, excuse me, has a question, feel free to throw it in the ask a question section. But let's move on to number 2. Again, some of these are fairly obvious, but I've found, as some of you have heard me talk about in my speeches, I'm a professional reminder-er, which we both are. Sometimes we need to be reminded of the obvious things because we forget them when we're so caught up in the details of planning and the nitty-gritty and all that kind of stuff. So number 2 is remember that it's impossible to do it all. You just can't. And that's one of Adultitis' best tricks, is to get you to the FOMO, right? Fear of missing out, like, oh, I'm only going to be here one time. I'm going to miss this. And it's just, you could do it, everything to your human ability to pack stuff in, and there's still going to be stuff you miss. And at the end of the day, you're going to end up tired and wiped out and frustrated, and Adultitis is in the background, like happy and glad. So
a good place that this will always be a very high possibility is Disney World, or any type of theme park that has way more than you can physically possibly do in one day. Right. So we have been super intentional with the types of trips that when we have those kind of days of saying, okay, what are our top 3? How do we pace ourselves? When are we going to take a break? Right. Because there are people who are like park hopping, and, you know, everybody has different tolerances, but you got to make sure everyone in your group matches on some level, or else you're going to have some miserable vacation mates of like one person who likes to park hop and one person who doesn't. That's gonna not line up well.
Yeah, makes it tricky. And I think if you kind of like set a smaller threshold of what you want to see, if you get to see extra stuff, then you feel like it's a bonus. Versus if you make a whole big list and only do a few, then you feel like, oh, I totally missed out.
Right.
So.
Right.
All right. Excuse me. Listen to your soul. So this is a big one. Like I said, it kind of goes back to the first one, I guess, with that Mexico trip we did, where in our head, we felt like we should do more things. Like we're in a new country we've never been in. We want to expose our kids to a lot of different things. And we kind of felt this internal pressure, like, well, we should do this, we should do that. And again, we examined where we were as human beings on that particular trip. And even though 2 weeks earlier or a month earlier or 6 months earlier when we planned the trip, we would have thought this is what we want it to be. But then when it came into it, I mean, we came into 2017 or 18 or whatever it was, like badly. I mean, we were sick over the holidays. We spent a month, just all of us
passing around the same germs. And,
there's a theme. And so we just realized at that moment is like, no, we can't do all of these extracurricular activities we thought we were going to. And our soul just needed some time to chill out and relax and be together as a family and not do anything. And so I think that's
which takes some intentionality, and it actually takes a leader. So don't wait for your vacation mates to have this conversation. You have to intentionally start the conversation, whether it's with a spouse or best friends or cousins or whoever you're going on your trip with. This is something that you have to lead the conversation. And it's not an easy conversation to have because there's a lot of like guilt and there's a lot of like, what do you call it when you had false expectation or your expectations were a little misaligned to begin with of like what you thought was going to be the trip. So it takes a little bit of struggle to get through that conversation. The conversation I'm remembering us having on the balcony was not an easy one.
Yeah.
Because we both brought a lot of emotion to it for whatever reason.
Fear of regret. Like, should we just plow through and do all the stuff we wanted because we'll be upset that we didn't, and just, it was challenging. So
don't take this as like, oh yeah, we'll figure it out. It's like, this is actually a hard step.
And it's important because a lot of us, it costs money to go on a vacation. Right. We only have a certain amount of time each year that we can take off. Like, it's a big deal. There's a lot of planning and a lot of effort into it. And so make sure that you're not the one who's holding you back and have fun. Oh, look at this little creeper in here.
Hey, come on up, buddy. Want to say hi?
Hi.
Got Ben here.
What are you up to?
Playing.
Yeah.
Question for you, sir. Do you remember when we went to Mexico? What was your favorite part about that trip?
What one?
The first one.
Oh yeah, the first one. Sorry, we did go twice.
We liked it so much.
How about the first one? The first one when we were right by the ocean and we went to see the monkeys and went to La Buena Vida. What was your favorite part about that?
The monkey.
The monkeys.
Seeing the monkeys, yeah.
That's a surprising answer coming from you because that was kind of terrifying at the moment. But now looking back, you think that was pretty cool? Isn't that an interesting perspective? Ben, I thought we were crushing Ben for life with his terror with these monkeys on our heads. That actually is a picture we've shared.
The Akamal Monkey Sanctuary is where
But now, 2 years later, it's one of his favorite things. So isn't that an interesting lesson in parenting?
Don't be afraid to crush your child's soul forever because it might be their favorite thing.
Anything else you want to say? You want to come back and draw the winning scholarship people? Okay, we'll call you back. Okay. Oh, that's funny.
All right, let's see where are we on this poll. Half the people say plane is their favorite method of vacation travel. Half the people say bicycle is their favorite. Oh, we got another one for train. So we got plane, train, and bicycle are the splitting the vote of favorite preferred method of vacation travel.
Nice.
So be sure to weigh in on that. We'll check in on that regularly. All right, looks like I kind of skipped ahead on what we originally were talking about. So give yourself permission to call an audible. All right, this is tip number 3. I guess it's tip number 4, actually, this is 4. The problem is I only had 4 on this sheet and I needed 5, and so I messed them up. Okay, so it doesn't matter. We're just sharing ideas. Give yourself permission to call an audible. Sometimes things change. So in the case we've belabored, our health, our spirit. But sometimes weather plays a factor. Sometimes you're not able to get tickets like you thought you were going to be able to. Sometimes things get canceled. Sometimes there's all sorts of things. Sometimes you get a flat tire. What I think is a good one for this is to pull out Krista and her Guatemala. She, in the Escape Adulthood League, which of course everyone is welcome to be a part of. It's just becoming more and more of a useful vault of ideas and support and encouragement from adultitis fighters. And Krista Schmilk, I hope I'm saying your last name correctly. She recently went to Guatemala with her family on a service trip, and she posted a really cool post in the league sharing her fears and struggles and thoughts going into the trip and the things they accomplished. And to me, it was all about her mindset and her attitude. And I think it was her husband who at the beginning of the trip said you could either be miserable, or you
flexible.
could flexible, or you could be flexible. And how this trip goes is up to you. And I think it was really cool how she shared.
She's a good writer. About it. Definitely take the time to read it, because when I got to the end of it, I was like teared up. I mean, she brought the experience to life in a really cool way. So thank you, Krista, for taking the time to be honest and share the little windows into the experience with her 2 boys, and just all the fears you bring to bringing your kids someplace, that all the unknowns. Like, she was really vulnerable about a lot of that. So it was pretty amazing. Yeah.
So part of that is going back to the idea of giving yourself permission to call an audible. So actually remember this in my book that's coming out, the editor had a hard time because I used that phrase, call an audible, because she didn't know what it meant. And so I figure I should probably explain that. It's in football when the quarterback is about to call a specific play, but then he looks up at the defense and sees that the defense is going to annihilate that play. He calls an audible, which changes the play at the line of scrimmage, and then they do a different play that hopefully will work better. So in this case, again, you get on site, you get on the vacation, you get into this thing, and all of a sudden something comes up and it's not going to work the way you thought. Give yourself permission to call that audible. So again, that Mexico trip, that first one, was a good example, because we knew we were by the ocean, but we didn't know how close we were. Like, we were like literally could fall off the condo and land on the beach. And so knowing that, once we got there, we're like, this is like a dream here. Why we would be silly to spend all of our time going somewhere else when we have such an opportunity right in front of us. So
if you ever want the name of that condo, let us know, because it's just a home away, and you could rent it next week. Well, maybe not next week, but
it's just north of Tulum. So it was pretty cool. So again, give yourself permission to be flexible. Things change, details change. It's important to be flexible when you can. So I wanted to blatantly talk about a book that's coming out.
Well, I don't think we had the book the last time.
I don't think we did, but many of you have already pre-ordered Chance of Awesome, How Changing the Way You See Changes Everything. And sort of appropriate, because a lot of the stuff we've talked about so far is about how much a vacation can go from good to bad just by your attitude, or vice versa. So we got the actual book. So we only have 2 of these. There are only 2 of these that we have, but it came over as the preview sample. And any of you who have Penguins Can't Fly, you'll see it's the same size. It's a little bit thicker, but it is full color and filled with my paintings and artworks and stories and some really cool. It turned out really cool. I'm really proud of it. But we're currently in the middle of pre-order stage, and we have all kinds of neat bonuses for people who pre-order. If you order a baker's dozen, you get a really cool mini canvas that we're not selling anywhere else. Among other things, you get a baker's dozen. Of course, you get a free book out of it.
That's obvious, right?
One of the things that anyone who orders like even one book is eligible to win this. So this is a 20 by 20 canvas of the cover, the picture from the cover. And this thing, I mean, this looks almost exactly like the original. You can't even barely tell.
The original got sold a couple years ago. But,
yes. So we have one of these that's framed, and we're giving it away to someone, just anyone who pre-orders the book. So you can find out more about that at achanceofawesome.com, and you can find out about the book. You can see a preview, you can pre-order, but this has been sitting around in our house for a while, and I kind of am going to miss it because I miss the original got sold, and so it's been kind of nice to have this on hand. So
Penguins Can't Fly came out 4 years ago, which is insane. We did our book tour with a 1-year-old, and now she's 5.5. So this book is just like all the awesome stories Jason's been creating and telling the last 4 years. So when I went to help edit, I did a little bit of I didn't edit, but I looked for spelling mistakes and line, page mess ups and stuff like that. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this story hasn't been in a book yet. This story. So I think everyone who follows along the blog and gets the Sunday morning emails will feel the same way. It's like, oh, a compilation of all the stuff we've been talking about for the last couple of years. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm excited for it to come. It's on. All the books are on their way here. I'm excited to share them with you. Really proud of how it turned out.
And we just rented a big storage space.
Yeah, I think we did talk
talking
about that in the past. So we've got
we
that
just
squared away,
rented it.
climate controlled, and easy access to our house. So that'll be good. Although the way the pre-orders have gone, I don't know how many are going to have to go into that because we'll have to. There's a lot that are reserved. So
yes.
Okay, so let's finish up with this list of how do you not ruin your next vacation. By the way, shout out to Jim McMillan there. He says travel on foot, backpacking is my favorite vacation mode. I was going to put that. I forgot. I didn't, but yeah, that's definitely one of the coolest ways to see wherever you're going is that whole on foot backpacking. I will say that whenever we travel, we do a lot of walking in the city or wherever we go. It's my favorite way to see the sights is just being in the city amongst the people, going down all the weird neighborhoods and stuff like that.
Our photographer the last several years, who I know Stephen knows, Quinn Pascas from the Summit, he is not going to be at the Summit this year because he's backpacking and doing these amazing trails. Like there's like all these trails around the country, like the what am I thinking of? The Appalachian Trail, and there's a huge one in Colorado. He's doing one in California, where you spend like 3 months. So I'm curious, Jim, if you don't mind sharing in the comments, like where has been your favorite backpacking trip?
Yeah.
Because I just keep hearing about some really interesting experiences people are having with their backpacks, and it's pretty rugged. It's pretty hardcore.
It is. Yeah. I like it in theory. But I also like a hotel bed. So, but I appreciate that for sure.
Very adventurous.
So Stephen here, he says, I'm visiting Wisconsin for 2 days at the end of next month. Do you know anyone I need to hug?
I think we could come up with a few people, especially if you end up at the Summit, right, Stephen?
I think I have an idea that, he might be heading in that direction. So speaking of the Summit, we'll be revealing the winners of the scholarship shortly. But in the meantime, let us finish up with our last tip for how to not ruin your next vacation. So basically, the last thought is to examine the rules that don't exist that you may have written in your own head.
Yes.
There are plenty of not rules that are revolved around travel, such as you have to do and see and taste and do everything. But some of the ones are things that we come in with ourselves. And one example that comes up in my head was when we were on the beach and we found this restaurant that was so cool. It was La Buena Vida.
2 doors down.
2 doors down from our condo. It was literally, you could like have your feet barefoot in the sand at the table, and it was a beautiful view. And the food was really good. They had amazing drinks, prices. And the rule that we had, I don't know if anyone else has this rule, but going on vacation, you can't eat at the same spot more than once, or at the very most more than twice. And we just got to a point of like, that's a dumb rule.
Yeah.
In this case, right?
The kids love it. We love it. The price is good. It's easy.
Everything we would be looking for in a restaurant on this particular vacation would be this place. It is ridiculous for us to just abide by this particular rule. That's not a rule. It doesn't exist. And so that was a big one.
We broke it 8 times.
Yeah.
Because we went there 9 times.
Yeah, we went there for breakfast, we went lunch, dinner.
And we were like happy every time. And by the end, I'm like, okay, that's enough now.
Yeah. But I'm like, every vacation since then now, I'm like,
where's our La Buena Vida?
Yeah, I wish there was a place as good as that place. So
yeah. Sarah Stone Weber, who is a part of the tribe, has been to a lot of summits, told me one time that they have a rule that when they're on vacation, they have to eat ice cream every day. And so the accomplishment is trying to figure out where, what time of day, and that becomes a fun little challenge. So the rule of like, you shouldn't go out for ice cream every day, or you shouldn't have ice cream for breakfast, which we've broken that rule too.
Yes,
It's
we
a good
have.
one.
Yep.
So
well,
it's
that's
fun.
a good reminder, is that not only should you be on the lookout for the rules that you need to break, but you have permission to make your own real rules.
Mhm.
So it might be every time we see a cool roadside attraction, we have to stop. We've budgeted time to be able to do that. And every time we see it, it's a rule. We have to have ice cream every single day. It's a rule. You have permission. It's your vacation. You can make
maybe
up
you
your own rules
upgrade
that are fun.
to when the car rental place tries to convince you and give you a good price on upgrading to the sports car. Maybe you do it. Maybe that's a rule that you're like, you know what? I'm gonna actually take that deal today. I'm gonna upgrade to the Mustang with you. You know?
Yeah, which is what happened recently when Ben and I went on our trip to Florida. The guy was like, "You want to upgrade to a sports car?" And I
We're
was
always
like,
no. Yeah.
And here I am, first business trip with Ben. I'm like, let's do it. And it just so happened that it was also a convertible. So by far one of the best memories of the trip. But had I not been flexible, had I not been willing to call an audible,
Or
wouldn't
upgrade
happen.
from the garden view to the ocean view or the water view, right?
Mhm.
Everybody knows the garden view is the air conditioners. So
Yeah, not quite as gardeny as one would hope.
right.
I'm trying to think. So we recently went to Pittsburgh. I had a speaking engagement in Pittsburgh for ASTRA, which is the American Specialty Toy Retailers Association. I mean, can you imagine a better group to be talking to? And it was everything I hoped it would be. These people were amazing.
Yeah.
And we decided to make it into a little road trip. So we went through Cleveland and over to Pittsburgh, and went with our two best friends, Sue and Jenna. And it was a blast. And I'm wondering if there are any lessons we learned on that trip that you can think of that were
Going into it, as we had that communication moment going into it with our friends, because we weren't just the five of us, we had two friends with us. How's everybody feeling? What kind of trip do we want this to be? And I think we definitely pulled an audible. We were, maybe we would have done more like inner city stuff, but people were feeling tired and it had been a busy month and sickness and all this stuff. So we did more. We went to Lake Erie. We went to Lake Michigan on the way, Lake Erie, and then did some kind of cool stuff in Pittsburgh with like enjoying the view. It's a neat city. There's the rivers, 3 rivers, but there's like a big bluff. Is that how you would describe it?
Yeah, it's called Mount Washington, I think.
Okay.
But, yeah.
So there's like this cog trolley type train incline that goes up. I mean, it's pretty cool. We did that. We went up there and then just enjoyed the city from a different perspective. So we weren't always in the city the whole time because the conference was downtown, and cities are cities, right? So at a certain point, you just can only find a park, and there's not much other stuff to kind of get that release. So we tried to kind of figure out what are the parameters of this trip that can give us the space to kind of breathe deeper and amidst the 3 hotels. And
I'm glad we did, because even still, it was a busy trip. It was kind of a hard trip, and if we wouldn't have made that effort to really take some time out to chill, I think we all probably would have been miserable. But it went well. The
balance, of course, for a lot of our travel is that we have work within it. So you have to be even more mindful of saying, all right, the work at a certain point, we have to shift gears and get into work mode. So how does everything else fit around it so that it feels, healthy?
Yeah.
So one of the other tips, this is kind of random, but Jason has done this digitally, but I've also done this in journal form, is bringing a book, and then before bed, and like I said, you could type this into your phone and have it like an Evernote or whatever, but before bed, write the memories of the day. And you'd think you're going to remember this stuff, but when I look back, I mean, this is just filled with and little stickers. The kids would draw pictures of our experiences too. I just hand them the book in the car and say, "Oh, talk about or draw a picture of." This is like us sleeping in a covered wagon in South Dakota on the way to Mount Rushmore. The details that you put at the end of the day are things that you really won't remember years later.
Well, and I think what the key is, and as you do this, and I've done it, is you do it in bullet form. So just literally, like you have checking out the chickens and finding it.
Yeah, right. Sitting in a stagecoach. Lucy signed the visitor book. We all had fun checking out the neat books and toys at the gift shop. You know, just little details that like, oh yeah, I remember that. And then, you know, oh, Ro picked out a horse or, you know, whatever it was.
Sometimes we have the idea that we should make a whole big scrapbook or we should long form journal, which is fine.
Mm-hmm.
But doing I call them memory lists, is like literal bullet one-liners of just memories, things that happen. And it's interesting to me that making the really specific details that you think you won't remember, actually, once you review it later, it brings a flood back of all these other memories and details. And you didn't have to write everything out. Just those little bullet points really make the trip come alive. More so than if you didn't write anything down, or like I said, you get all fired up like, oh, I'm going to do this whole big journal and all of the thoughts I had. And that's great. And if you can do it, great. But start with just the little bullets, because it goes a long way and it works just as well as I think taking photos, because the memories come flooding back.
I don't know, maybe this is just my jello brain, but literally like when I'm back from the trip, I can't do it. Like the memories aren't as emotional. Like you're just back, you get back, you got your laundry, you got your bills, or, the things that need to go out, and you just get back into life. And so in the moment is the only time I've tried to go back. Like I've seen like holes and stuff of like, oh, I forgot I was too tired that night. And then I'll try to go back. And it's like
you lose a lot of stuff.
Yeah, it's really hard.
Let's see. Steven says we were in Chiang Mai, Thailand. We had the local driver take us around, and he took us to some ancient ruins where tourists didn't go. There was hardly anyone there, and it was fascinating. That's a good tip about tapping into the local people, whether it's the driver, Uber people, asking the hotel people like where their favorite place to eat is. That's a really good tip. I wanted to share too this quote this was from an old post, and it's from Judith Kirkwood wrote an article on womenswallstreet.com, and I really liked this little snippet she put. Perhaps it will be useful to you. She said, I tend to approach family vacations like a general planning a battle. I marshal resources, circle targets, and muster the troops to follow me no matter how heavy the fighting. But I'm slowly learning that my job may be to follow rather than lead. The little things that happen along the way are always more memorable than anything that involves a museum, monument, or long line, even at the most exciting theme park in the world. She says, Nina Senator, a specialist in children's developmental issues at Simmons College, says, parents think in terms of what will make a great memory, but kids live in the present. They can learn about a culture by having an ice cream cone while watching a mariachi band in El Paso, or sitting in a cafe in Florence and starting up a conversation with another child. So to me, those are two good tips, is look at yourself as the follower on a trip and let the trip lead you to find the mystery and the discoveries. That's kind of what our theme this month in the Escape Adulthood League has been is wander. When you allow yourself to wander and you're not trying to plan every little detail, that's where the magic happens. And that's where the little memories and the little things that you take with you the rest of your life pop up, is when you live those little breathing areas. And the other idea is how kids, they're living in the present all the time. And that's a lesson we learned from our kids in travel. I remember one of my business trips with Lucy. We got stranded in Detroit at the airport. It was late at night. We had just missed our flight home
by seconds.
Yeah, by a minute.
Deals. Yeah.
And so I'm at the counter, trying to figure out where we're going to stay, what's going to happen. I feel like all responsible. I got this little girl with me. It's 11 o'clock at night. And I look over and she's over on the moving sidewalk having a blast, just like enjoying herself. And
who has a blast on the
good
moving sidewalk
reminder
except
to
for
me,
kids, right?
Dude, chill out. Like, it's all going to be okay. One of our friends, Marilyn, she has a son named Jesse who's a world traveler, and he has this line of like, it's only going to be a day, you'll get there. Like whenever your travel plans get messed up, is just reminding yourself it's only going to be a day, you'll get there. And so we ended up getting put up in a hotel near the airport. We ordered pizza, super late night, watched TV. I mean, we had a blast, and it was like a little extra bonus memory that would never have happened had we not been stranded. But thankfully, it was my daughter who reminded me not to take the situation so seriously and look for the fun, even amidst the hard times.
I find the irony of that, especially with the source of Jesse with that quote, is that when we had kids, everybody kept saying to us, oh, just you wait. Now everything's going to change. Everything's going to change now. You're not going to be able to do what you did before. And we were like, oh, really? I don't know. Is that a rule that doesn't exist? Like, can we really not have the adventures that we'd like to with little kids in tow? And obviously that story proves that kids actually help us as we travel. And not that it's not as smooth sailing all the time, because there's more elements to balance. I always joked when they were really little, this is a trip, not a vacation. Someone gave me that and I'm like, thank you for that. This is a trip, not a vacation. And because vacation has those connotations of the umbrella drink and the flip-flops by the pool and all that, and it doesn't always feel that way when you're packing diapers and changing diapers on planes and things like that. But I think there's opportunities, and we've seen that along the ways, even with the extra stress of having babies and little toddlers, that you connect with people in different ways. They smile at your kid, and then all of a sudden you're striking up a conversation about their grandkid, and you just see life differently. So they're a gift as much as they are, extra to-dos on the list of things to pack and things to think about, but it all balances out, I think.
For sure. All right. I think it's time to reveal the winners.
Welcome to Ro. I think Ro wants to be a part of this too. They've been so nicely playing over there. Come on over, guys.
So we got a ton of people who were interested in golden tickets for the Escape Adulthood Summit. We had been sold out for quite some time. It has sold out every year so far, and we had no idea how we were going to pick who should get it, and so we figured we'll just do it
We didn't
randomly.
want to hear everybody's stories of why they should come, because then we'd be like, oh, that's
Everyone
a good one.
should
That's
come.
a good one, So we're like, let's just be really, kind of more of like lottery style, right? So what I have done is everyone who filled out the form, I had to fill out the form to say, yes, I want to be a part of the scholarship application. I wrote their names on a little sheet. This whole bowl is filled with them. There's like 30 something. Now you had to indicate if you want 1 or 2 tickets, because we have 2 spots, right? So we'll kind of do this and share how it goes as we go.
If someone said that they had a partner in crime they'd like to bring, if they get drawn out first, those are our 2 tickets.
Because I have a 1 and a 2 on the names. So, all right. Ben, since you were here first, we'll let you do the first one, and we'll see if that takes care of it or if we get to draw another one. So go ahead. All right. Drum roll.
It's like we got a 2.
All right. Michelle Shrek. Is that how you would say that? Shrek. And she said she wanted 2 tickets. So there's our 2 tickets.
Here we go.
Michelle and your partner in crime, you are coming to the Escape Adulthood Summit.
We are
pack your bags, baby.
So excited. We're really getting into the nitty-gritty of the details.
We got
there's
plates
a lot
and
of
cups in our foyer.
There's a lot of sort of logistical things that get planned out, and then becomes the fun part. And so we are really digging deep into our theme. We've got some fun activities planned that we've never done before at a summit. We've got some special guests who have never been to a summit, and I'm maybe more excited than I've ever been. So it's going to be a wild Escape Adulthood Summit this year. And for everyone who has already got your golden tickets, well, technically you don't have them yet because we haven't sent them out, but have reserved them. Nothing's wrong. We will be sending out golden tickets. Check your mail in the next few weeks. We are excited about that. The best way to find out about our next one is to sign up to be an insider. Go to escapeadulthood.com/insider, and you'll get our weekly messages that have all the new things going on. So obviously, like I said, we're sold out for this one. Now we are complete with these last 2 spots filled.
Yes. So I will reach out to Michelle and let her know. and I think she'll be it'll be pretty exciting.
Just to close out with the preferred method of vacation travel, looks like plane gets the top vote, followed by train, automobile, and bicycle. Although we did have the throw the hat in the ring for backpacking. So
Stephen's
kinda got a
asking
mix.
if Lucy is here. Yes, she is, but she's in her.
She's busy doing things.
She's
doing
yeah.
10-year-old things.
Yes, she
whatever that
didn't want
might
to
be.
say hi today.
So thank you for everyone who came out to watch this live. Thank you to everyone who's watching this in the future. It is a pleasure to be spending time with you guys. Thank you for spending time with us. And until next time, witty, come back, send off, stay young, stay fun. Right? How about that?
Thanks for being here, you guys.
Bye-bye.
See ya.